Right, so this first session, we looked at PowerPoint, and we actually used PowerPoint to create a media type CV where we had slides on education, employment, and references. And we also had a cover slide, which just basically had your name on and maybe curriculum vitae or CV. So to start off, you need to go to the Start menu. Now, in college, when you go to the Start menu, you automatically get the same applications each and every time. You get Word, Excel, and PowerPoint on the top line. On home computers, like I'm using my own personal computer here, this area, this is called the hot list. This will vary depending on which applications you use the most often. Generally, not always, but generally it will vary over time with different users using different programs. So we're going to use PowerPoint. So there's PowerPoint. Now with PowerPoint, initially when you load it, it will normally show you presentations you've created in the past. But on our occasion, we want to create something new. So we're going to go to New, and then it will show you all the various templates. Now you may get different templates. In fact, you're pretty well sure to get different templates than anyone else. So I'm going to use this one. So click Create. Okay, now you might get a lot of templates, a lot of slides come up you don't really need. Probably none of them I'm going to use, so I'm probably going to, one at a time, delete. I'm going to click on each slide, press the right mouse button, press delete. And of course you can also highlight more than one slide at a time. You can actually highlight a group of slides. And then you can right mouse and choose delete, and all of them will disappear. So the first thing we did is we put our headings in. So I'll probably have curriculum. Okay, and you can put your details like your name. There we go. So the first thing we need to do was put in a extra couple of slides, which we want to be consistent. So for that, we go to here where we say new slide and click the down arrow on new slide. And I generally use the layout which is called title and content. Normally it's a second choice there, but here it's a little bit lower. So title and content, and I prefer a couple of them. So I'm going to choose a couple of them. There we go. And I'm going to have, for the first one, I'm going to have education. For the second one, I'm going to have experience, work history. And for the third one, we had that as, for example, references. Okay. So let's go back to education. So this box here is just waiting for us to type our information. But if you wanted to, you could also add other things. So for example, these little icons here represent different things you can add. So if you go to one icon but don't click, you can add a stock image, you can add a picture you got on your computer, you can actually insert an icon, you can insert smart graphics and so on. You can even insert videos and movies and what have you, and charts. But that's probably something you want to maybe have a play around with. But here, you probably want to put in, high school. And then you might want to put in sort of like GCSEs. Okay. Likewise, we can do the same with work history. Okay, you can imagine putting other things down. There's a spell check built in, so there you go. It's found a little spelling mistake there for me. And you can do the same with references. Okay. Oh, again, spell checks found an error. There we go. Good. So we got a basic sort of layout now. Now, possibly not the nicest sort of color schemes, so we can play around. So for example, we can click on the background and we could change that, or we could highlight all the text and we can make the text different. So for example, we change the text to black. That probably make more sense. There. And you can play around with everything really. Okay, so we're ready now to actually preview our slideshow. So when I press F5, the F5 key will preview the slideshow. So there we go. So that's the first page. Now I'm going to use the right cursor key or the space bar to advance to the second slide. And likewise, advancing again to the next slide, I'm going to use the same key and the same key. Now, as you can see at the moment, it's very basic the way it transitions from one slide to another slide. So what I'm also going to do, I'm going to go into my editing mode again by pressing the escape key. So the escape key you will find on the top left hand corner. And I'm going to go to the transitions menu and I'm going to change it so the second slide actually loads with some sort of animated transition. So up here we have a number of various transitions we can use. So you can decide which one you want to go for. You can even try by clicking each one in turn and see if you like the transition, because it gives you a little preview. Okay, so random bars, for example, you can see how that would work and so on. So I'm going to use a transition called curtains for my first slide. That will open roughly like that. I'm then gonna, for the second slide, gonna actually have it open up and fold up as like a paper airplane and fly off. So there's one called airplane. There's also one called origami where it flies off, looks like a paper duck. And I'll pick one at random for my third one. Doors, quite nice. So if I press F5 now, it will load the first slide as normal. Now when I press the key to move on to the next slide, it will show the transition to get to the next slide. Okay, and when I do this again, it will go to the next slide. This time it was going to be paper airplane. And the final one was doors, I think it was called. And there you go. And when I press the key once more, it will automatically go to a blank screen. That's intentional. So when you are presenting, the final screen goes blank so that it doesn't distract the viewer and they're not sat there looking at the screen you might be talking about previously. For example, if you've got questions at the end, then you don't want the final screen possibly to be the screen which shows all the way through the questions. So that's that. Press escape again to reset. Now, just to have a play around for education, oh, there's no spelling mistake. There we go. Let me fix that. There you go. So for education, I'm going to put a picture here which represents education, just to make it look pretty and fill in the gap. And to insert a picture, I'm going to go to the insert menu and I'm going to choose picture, but I'm not going to choose picture by itself. I'm going to choose the down arrow to give me the choices. And one of the choices I'm going to use is online pictures, which basically takes pictures off sites like Google, you know, Google image search, and brings them across. In fact, in reality, what Microsoft's done is they've created a large library of stock images, which you can use copyright free, no problems at all. So I'm going to use the word education as my key word, my key prompt to search, and it's going to come back with different images. Okay, so that looks like a nice little picture there. So I've clicked on it. I'm quite happy with that. And I'm going to go to insert. Now, obviously, it comes back and the size may not be what you wanted. It may not be looking, the way you wanted it to look. So you can go to the corners. These are fancy names, these corners. These little boxes you see. You do also see them in the middle as well, but they're basically the corners we use because the corners keep the proportions correct. So it doesn't squash the image in any way. So I can drag them to whichever size I want. I can actually make it bigger. Ooh, making it too big. Okay. I can do the same with the others. So I'm going to go to Insert, drop down the box underneath Picture, Online Pictures. There we go. Again, I'm going to resize. And you can see what I do with references. I think I'll leave that for now to save time or what have you. So there's the presentation so far. I'm going to press F5 to see what a presentation looks like. So there's the first page. Press the right cursor key to show me the next page. And likewise. And likewise. Okay. And just before we finish, going back to the images, there is quite a lot you can do with images. Once you click on the image, for example, there, you should get a menu come up called Picture Format. So if you click on Picture Format, on Picture Format, it should give you a number of choices for different frames. So you can choose the frames you like. So there's a nice frame. I like that frame where it sort of stands out from the paper. Okay. So you can do that, just to repeat. So you click on the image. You're looking for picture format. If it's not already automatically comes up, you have to click on it. And then you get loads of frames. There are quite a few extra frames, more than you can see. You can actually go through them all by clicking on the down arrow to the right. Okay. And as well as frames, you can also correct images. If you find images maybe a little bit dark, a little bit light, so there's a whole variety of different corrections you can go for here. And as well as that, for color, you can change the way the picture's colored. You can physically change at the bottom to different colors, or you can change the way it appears. And there's also some artistic effects where you can have it looking like sort of like pixelated, or almost like a negative from an image and things like that. Okay, so there's a whole variety of different artistic effects. So that's using corrections, colors, and artistic effects as well. That's also quite useful. You can even remove backgrounds on pictures. So if that picture there didn't have a good background, you could remove the background on pictures using the background picture. So I click on the picture there, click on remove background, and what it will try and do is try and work out what is part of the picture and what's part of the background, and then you can add it. But it's not an ideal picture, but it's worth you having to play with. Okay, that's removed some of the image, treating it as background. Anyway, so that's what we did for the first session. So hopefully you'll find that very informative and quite useful.